What's up, lovely people? I'm Coy Wire. This is CNN 10, and it's finally Friday. Almost time to unwind and relax the mind as we creep into the weekend. But before we get there, let's keep seeking to finish this week strong. It is hot out there, right? For a huge portion of the country right now, and chances are you might be trying to keep it cool. Excessive heat warnings, the most severe form of heat alert, currently span 1,100 miles and are impacting more than 20 states. Temperatures in some places are 20 degrees higher than normal this time of year. This week, more than 65 million people will have experienced a temperature above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and the heat is causing significant challenges. Listen to this. Tragically, nearly 24 cattle died from excessive heat in Nebraska, and more than 100 residents from a nursing home in Kansas City had to be evacuated due to temperatures reaching 119 degrees. And one other thing to let you know just how hot it's been, an ice cream shop in Iowa had to shut down because the building couldn't stay cool enough to keep the ice cream frozen. The heat wave is especially remarkable for this already record-breaking summer. The scientific cause is called a heat dome, which is a strong area of high pressure that traps and intensifies hot air at the surface, and the heat is predicted to persist. So we may see even more heat records across central and southern parts of the country. The record high temperatures are even impacting students in classrooms. In Denver, Colorado, 16 elementary schools and a middle school ended classes early due to the soaring temperatures. Milwaukee public schools were closed entirely. In other districts, outdoor activities have been postponed, and even in classrooms where air conditioning is working, well, the schools have had to make accommodations to avoid subjecting students to sweltering bus rides to get there. Our meteorologist, Miss Allison Chinchar, is here to break it all down for us. Allie, it is smoking hot out there.
That's right, Coy. It has been a brutally hot week, and it's all thanks to a heat dome. Now, essentially what we've had set up this week is a high pressure system essentially parked over the central U.S. Now, normally we all know heat rises, but under high pressure, that's actually pushing that air back down towards the surface, essentially acting like a giant lid, trapping that heat, keeping all of it back closer to the surface. And what that does is it allows a lot of this same area under that high pressure to just be dealing with incredibly hot temperatures, and in some cases prolonged periods of time, because that high pressure system simply doesn't move. Now, over this week, we've had over 400 locations break record temperatures, again all the way from Texas up into Minnesota and back over towards the Atlantic side of states like Georgia and Florida. Now, we are still going to continue to see those heat records continue. A lot of excessive heat warnings and heat advisories still in effect for the day Friday. But I have some good news, and that is cooler temperatures are on the way, especially across the Midwest, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Northeast once we get into the latter half of the weekend and into next week.
10-second trivia. R.U.R. was a play published in 1920 introducing the concept of what? Robots, records, radio, or radon? If you said robots, put your hands up. Rossum's Universal Robots was a Czech play about machines taking over. The next time you have to do chores like taking out the trash or doing the dishes, what if you could have a robot do it for you? It sounds like science fiction, it sounds like the future, but the future is apparently near. The team at Austin-based robotics startup Apptronik believes their human-like droid helpers will soon become the norm. We caught up with them to find out what all they are capable of and the potential downsides.
What is Apollo exactly?
Apollo is our latest humanoid robot. Sometimes you'll hear us call it a general purpose robot. This is something that is going to be your friend. You're going to rely on these things to do all the things you don't want to do.
So what are some of its capabilities?
We've designed Apollo with roughly human morphology, human range of motion, the same height, the same weight as a human.
We need to make robots much more versatile than what they are today. The reason that it's humanoid is because we've built the world for humans. We have a big labor shortage here in the US. So where Apollo's going to start is in warehouses, like you kind of see here. It can lift about 55 pounds. It operates on about a 4-hour battery. And you can change the battery out so you can keep it running 22 hours a day, is what we're targeting.
What would you say to people who are watching this, they see Apollo and they're worried, Apollo could take my job?
If we can pair humans with robots, then the robots can take the portion of the work that drives people out of those industries. So instead of you unloading trucks in the hot Texas sun, you're managing a fleet of robots that's unloading the trucks for you, and you're learning new skills that become applicable across a range of different industries. But where we hope it to ultimately go is one day versions of Apollo could be in your home or eventually on the moon or Mars.
To help with those cosmic aspirations, Apptronik has teamed up with NASA.
My hope and my dream is that we will have general purpose robots fielded in space within the next 10 years.
But the biggest obstacle right now? Combining and refining mobility and dexterity. The co-founders of Apptronik are no strangers to that, having worked on NASA's Valkyrie robot a decade ago.
Valkyrie, capable of dexterous manipulation and walking, carrying items, opening doors, but there are limitations, for example, being able to move very quickly and precisely. We really need systems that have more than one skill, that are flexible and adaptable.
Apptronik isn't alone in the rush to build a humanoid robot. Tesla has a humanoid bot of its own, and Hyundai-owned Boston Dynamics has Atlas. But Atlas relies on hydraulics for its movement.
Hydraulics are very powerful, but it's not safe to be around. So our bet at Apptronik was that electric humanoids were going to be the future. So the first phase for us was to focus on performance of electric motors or actuators and try to get them up to par with what you see with a lot of hydraulic systems.
And they're aiming for this everyday robot to have an everyday price. What would you say is the price point for Apollo?
The goal is for it to be less than the price of your standard car. These have to be affordable, they have to be accessible.
What would you envision a future Apollo being capable of doing?
The next step is to build a more hardened version of this that is really kind of designed for scale manufacturing.
I think 20 years from now, much like the computer, we're going to look back and think, how do we ever get by without the help of these machines?
Today's story, getting a 10 out of 10, is creating quite the hoopla. A top basketball shooting coach named Chris Matthews traveled to Japan to take on a Japanese robot in a hoop shooting contest. Let's call it LeBot James. Get this, the robot beat Matthews in the first challenge. Then they put a smaller hoop inside the rim to up the stakes. This time, Matthews beat LeBot. Toyota engineers built this Giannis robot that can hoop a lot in 2017, and it's already broken a Guinness World Record for consecutive free throws by a humanoid robot, more than 2,000 in a row. Happy Friday, everyone. Keep in touch over the weekend. I'm at CoyWire on Insta, Snapchat, and TikTok. We're CNN 10 on YouTube. Subscribe and comment with your special shout-out request. Today's shout-out goes to Vista Middle School in Ferndale, Washington. Remember, you are more powerful than you know. I'm CoyWire. This is CNN 10. It's been a blessing to spend this week with you.